Alongside Steve Simmons of the Toronto Sun, I'm Frank Seravalli. Welcome back to First Round Frenzy. So Steve, upon further review, the Winnipeg Jets have lost an NHL worst 11 games this season when leading entering the third period, including twice on home ice in these playoffs. So the question is, what percentage chance do you give the Jets to come back and win this series?
50% to start. This is a coin flip series. It has been from the beginning. But I've been a Winnipeg Jets guy from the start of the year. I picked them to go to the Stanley Cup final at the beginning of the season. I picked them to go to the Stanley Cup final at the beginning of the playoffs. I'm going to stick with them for now with the coin flip landing, and we'll see where it lands.
I'm going to go with 20%, Steve. You mentioned how close this series has been. Well, I mean, I don't think that means that one team wins 2 games in a row, which is what the Jets would have to do. And I've said for 2 months now, there's something off with the Jets this season. And when you see that epic collapse in the last minute on home ice before getting to overtime, that really says a lot to me. So moving on. Does Carolina's comeback say more to you about the Carolina Hurricanes or the Washington Capitals?
It says a lot to me about the Carolina Hurricanes. I look at this team, and to me, they look like their coach. They play like Rod Brind'Amour. They play like 18 Rod Brind'Amours. They're going all the time. What an impressive job this guy has done with not a great roster.
There's no question the Hurricanes have been impressive. It just says more to me about the defending Cup champs. They had one big advantage over Carolina in the series was their big boy hockey, their physicality, their ability to push the Hurricanes around. Well, they've been the team that's been getting pushed around. Play has been dictated to them over these last 2 games in Carolina. We'll see if they can flip the switch when they get back on home ice in D.C. So, Steve, Canada is on a 3-game losing streak with Calgary, Toronto, and Winnipeg all losing their last games. What will determine if the streak ends tonight?
Well, if the streak ends tonight, the Maple Leafs have to kill penalties. That's the number one thing with that hockey club. They are 54% right now on the penalty kill, which is horrendous. And it's the reason they're not up on the Boston Bruins right now. I think they've outplayed the Bruins 5-on-5. I think they can still win the series.
It's pretty simple for the Calgary Flames. They need to find a way to slow down Nathan MacKinnon, who's been the best player in these Stanley Cup playoffs. He's been both a freak of nature and a force of nature for the Avs, taking over the series. You look at his last 3 games, 3 goals, 5 points, 19 shots on goal. This entire series is running through his stick, and I don't care what Johnny Gaudreau is doing. If the Flames can't find a way to figure out how to slow down MacKinnon, nothing's going to change, and the Flames are going to be the second #1 seed this spring to go down. It's fitting, Steve, that on April 19th, Steve Yzerman takes over as the next GM of the Detroit Red Wings, as first reported by TSN's Gord Miller. So the question to you, Steve, is how long will it take Stevie Y to get the Red Wings back to the playoffs?
Long. I'm thinking about 3 years. You look at Steve Yzerman, for my money, the best general manager in the NHL when he was in Tampa. But look at that roster he put together. It didn't come overnight. It's the same thing with Detroit. This is not a great roster. And you look at the Eastern Conference, the Florida Panthers with a better roster brought in Joel Quenneville. Philadelphia Flyers with a better roster brought in Alain Vigneault to coach. These are teams he's going to have to jump over. I don't see that happening for a while.
Yeah, I think he only needs 1 year to reboot this team. I think you're underestimating what he's inheriting. You look at our TSN Core 4 under 24 rankings from earlier this year. They had the 11th best prospect pool, so that's not terrible to start with. They've almost $30 million in cap space this summer. A basic clean slate for Steve Yzerman to come in there and do what he wants to do. And I think you look at teams like the New York Islanders this year, teams that hadn't made the playoffs, it doesn't take that long in today's NHL to turn around a franchise in short order. That's a wrap on First Round Frenzy. For all the latest Stanley Cup happenings, keep it locked on tsn.ca throughout the day.